I declare open this special budget meeting for the Gladstone Regional Council for Tuesday the 16th of July 2024. Call for apologies, all present, so there's no apologies this morning. And we'll move into the next item on the agenda, which is the budget. And 2024-2025 budget, S1.1 is the 2024-2025 budget overview. And that'll be over to me, Mark. Thank you. Well, as I said, good morning, and good morning to my fellow councillors, council employees, members of the gallery, ladies, gentlemen, media, and those watching online via our live stream. Today I'm proud to be here alongside my fellow councillors to adopt the Gladstone Regional Council's 2024-2025 budget and operational plan, the first for this council term. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the Gladstone region, the Baili, the Gurang, the Gurangarang and the Terrabalang Bunda people, and pay respects to elders past, present and those emerging, and extend that respect to Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people present or watching online. Built upon solid foundations of Council's previous term, our comprehensive $349 million budget aims to be responsive to community needs, responsible in how we manage the community's finances, and one that places further emphasis on core service delivery. Council has listened to the community and heard very clearly that an increased focus is needed on our parks, our drainage areas and our roads. Because of this, we have dedicated around 80% of our budget to delivering the fundamental things we rely on each day, like roads, bridges, water and sewerage, and of course, our fantastic outdoor areas. We have also invested in several civic pride initiatives ranging from beautification projects, major event attraction, increased investment in biosecurity, and much more. By having an increased focus on these core services, we are playing our part in making our community a fantastic place to live, work and play. The theme for this year's budget is Proudly Playing Our Part, which complements a reinvigorated focus on delivering for our community. This theme acknowledges that when we work together, we unlock knowledge and strengthen our understanding of the role we play in achieving great outcomes for both Council and our community. Council's key service investment in 2020-24-25, but not limited to, includes $103.9 million in roads, bridges, footpaths and drainage, $56.2 million on sewerage services, $55.9 million on water services, $27 million on waste services, $24.6 million on parks and environment, $9.2 million on arts, culture and entertainment, and $6 million on community development and support. Council's $349 million budget includes a $107 million capital works program that will fund projects related to, again, roads, drainage, water, wastewater, parks, footpaths and sport and recreation. This program, I'm pleased to say, has been supported by both the state and federal government to the value of $50 million, further demonstrating our effectiveness in seeking specific funding for our capital project expenditure from other tiers of government and, importantly, not from ratepayers. This investment will deliver key capital projects in 2025-2024, including, and again but not limited to, $21.5 million to restore damaged road infrastructure, $11.9 million for the Lomead Road safety and ceiling upgrades, $7.6 million on Stage 2 replacement works at the Gladstone Wastewater Treatment Plant, $2.4 million for further safety improvements on Turkey Beach Road, and $1.6 million for the much anticipated Agnes Water Skate Park. This year's budget was not without its challenges, as Council and the entire nation continue to tackle the cost pressures associated with inflation. We are also seeing asset pressures, particularly in our waste, water and sewage networks, due to the combined effects of regulatory and environmental changes and unit price increases. We recognise the challenging environment we are operating in and have delivered a budget that is responsible and sustainable for the long term. To achieve sustainability, Council has once again reduced its interest-bearing debt, and for the 12th consecutive year, and my 9th as Mayor, we have no new borrowings. Our focus on reducing debt will see interest-bearing debt decrease to $80.7 million by June 2025, a reduction of $6.2 million. This continued reduction of debt across multiple council terms represents responsible financial management on behalf of the region's ratepayers. When looking at rates, fees and charges for the new financial year, rates for the average residential ratepayer will rise by just 4.2% in 2024-2025. It is important to note that while there have been no property revaluations during the past year, Council has undertaken a holistic review of its rating structure. This review of the general rates has been done to make sure the rating system is split between properties in an equitable manner. To do this, we have reset all categories, particularly with an emphasis on residential categories, by implementing 5 levels of valuation banding, along with a review of the alignment of our high-density residential categories. Commercial and light industrial land uses will see a 4.9% increase in the general rate, with our major industrial land uses seeing a 7% increase. Council's costs associated with waste disposal, transfer station operations, recycling has also seen significant cost pressures applied during recent years. As a result, it is necessary to increase service charges by 8.2%, which is $5.76 for the collective utility charges. That's just $5.76 for collective utility charges across the Gladstone region. In October, Council will introduce a user pays fee structure for all domestic and general waste and green waste disposal services, attracting a small gate fee at Council's waste facilities. Our water networks have come under increasing cost pressures, with material and asset costs increasing. And due to this, it is necessary to increase the base access charge for water by $50 per annum in the Lake Awonga scheme and $60 per annum in the Agnes Water and Miriam Vale and Baroran schemes. As always, Council will continue to support our pensioners the best way we can by offering an eligible pensioner rate remission of $320 per year, which is an increase of $10 from last year, and in addition to the state government concession of $200. At Gladstone Regional Council will continue to ensure our community is well positioned to capitalise on the emerging industries within the Gladstone State Development Area. We'll continue to be responsible in how we will guide our community through the economic transition, as we will see Gladstone transform from the industrial capital of Queensland to the renewable energy superpower of Australia. Overall, Council's 2024-2025 budget and operational plan aims to be responsive to our community's needs with a deliberate focus on core service delivery. We know the Gladstone region's future is bright, and we look forward to proudly playing our part in driving our region forward with continued success for the year ahead. I would like to thank everyone who has contributed to making this budget possible. I can see most of them in the gallery this morning. And I'd also like to thank my fellow councillors and senior executive team for their hard work in putting this budget together as well. My fellow councillors and I look forward to working with you together to serve the Gladstone region, the place we call home, and I commend this budget to you all. Thank you. All right, councillors, we'll move to the adoption of the budget. Yes, I'll just bring that up. I do, yes. I'm just sorry, my docs on tap has stopped, which is fantastic. Okay, the first item is G1.1. I'll move that budget, and I'll have a seconder, please. Thank you, Councillor Holzheimer. I'll put that motion. All in favour? That's carried. Sorry, I'll get mine working in a second, but I've been through enough budgets. I know what's next. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, but it'll be S1.2, which is our revenue statement. I'll hand over to you.
Morning, Mr Mayor. Morning, councillors. The first of our statutory budget reports is our revenue statement. Your revenue statement gives you your head of powers for essentially raising all your revenue, which we get most of those through our rating powers. You'll note that there's a number of changes to the revenue statement this year. That's in line with the rating review that we've already conducted. There's a number of dot points there that highlight essentially the number of definitions that have changed, and also the change of methodology with respect to applications of water and sewerage pricing. Happy to take questions with respect to the report.
Any questions for
Happy to move the officer's recommendation, Mayor Mate.
Thank you, Councillor Churchill. Seconder, please. Thank you, Councillor Davis. All in favour? The motion is carried. Thank you, Mark. We'll move to the next item on the agenda, which is S1.3, which is a long-term financial forecast.
So, along with your budget, council is required to adopt a long-term financial forecast over a 10-year period. So this looks out to 2034. So Your formal budget is essentially the first 3 years of that, and we'll talk about those when we get to item 1.5. But this looks at making sure that we've got alignment between not only our revenue statement, our agreed price paths, but also those key links to some of our planning policies, our asset management plans and the like. The long-term financial forecast includes essentially over $1 billion worth of asset investment over the 10-year period. That does mean that as we start to work through those years, we are required to draw down some debt, and we're in a good position to do that to help fund some of those initiatives. So to help fund that long-term financial forecast over the 10-year period, there's around about $92 million worth of debt forecast to be drawn down over that period. But certainly commend the long-term financial forecast to you.
Thank you. Questions? Move Councillor Goodluck, or is that a question? Thank you, Councillor Goodluck. Move seconder, please. Councillor Patrick. Yes, question, please.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. I'm just wondering, when we're looking at the statement of financial... Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry, Mark. I'm just curious, the liabilities and the borrowings, how come in June 28 it drops significantly?
Yeah, we see the maturation of some debt at that period of time. So some big loans, and I think the major loan that comes off there is with respect to our LNG loans that we had for the construction of the pipelines between essentially the mainland and Curtis Island. So they come to maturation at that time.
Excellent. No, thank you.
Excellent. Okay, move Councillor Goodluck, seconded Councillor Patrick. Any further questions? Put the motion. All in favour? Motion's carried. Thank you. S1.4 is our debt policy. Mark.
The proposed debt policy for 2024 aligns with that long-term financial forecast, but also identifies the principles by which you would borrow should the need arise. As we know, there's no new borrowings proposed in the current financial year, but what we do with it is we are required to adopt a debt policy, so we ensure that we align this to that forecast, and you see there the projected borrowings in each of the next 10 financial years to fund your long-term financial forecast, so $92.5 million in total.
Any questions for Mark? If not, move it please. Thank you, Councillor McClintock. Seconded, Councillor Wagner. All in favour? That's carried. The next one is S1.5, projected financial statements for the year end 30th of June 2025. Over to you, Mark.
Your projected financial statements for the year are essentially the document by which we manage the budget, and essentially it provides the head of power for managing long-term procurements and the like, long-term contracts we enter into for our capital works. So essentially our capital works program, where we enter into those multi-year contracts, this gives us the head of power and the financial essentially backing to do that. So this includes essentially the first 3 years of that long-term financial forecast, and provides for a small surplus this year.
Thank you. Any questions? Have a mover, please. Thank you, Councillor Davis. Seconded, Councillor Muscat. All in favour? That's carried. We'll move to S1.6, which is our rate payment periods and discounts. Back to you, Mark.
So in order to give light to your revenue statement, we've got to adopt a number of resolutions with respect to our payment periods, our discount, interest, and the doing of these. We do require 4 resolutions individually for these. So the first of the resolutions in this document is identifying essentially what are the payment periods and the basis by which we're going to levy our various charges for the year. So most of our rates, as we know, are on an annual basis, but we do on a essentially semi-annual basis. We levy those water consumption charges, but this sets those periods out for you in dot point 1, Officer Recommendation 1.
Okay, so do you want me to, I have to move them all individually?
Each individually, please.
Okay,
Yeah.
and can I have any questions on the whole item at the moment? Or would you like to go through all the No? Okay, well, let's move Recommendation 1, please. Thank you, Councillor Churchill. Seconded, Councillor Holzomer. No questions, all in favour? Motion's carried. Recommendation 2, please. Councillor Goodluck. Councillor Wagner, seconding. Still no questions? I put the motion. All in favour. Thank you, it's carried. Recommendation 3. Thank you, Councillor Patrick. Seconded, Councillor Muscat. All in favour? That's carried. And Recommendation 4. Thank you, Councillor Muscat and Councillor McClintock. Put the motion. All in favour? It's carried as well. Thank you, Mark. Very important you get those resolutions done right and correctly. S1.7, which is our differential general rate. Back to you, Mark.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This report identifies for each of your rating groups and each of your separate rating categories the minimum general rate that will apply for each of those, and what the rate in the dollar will be, and the rating cap, if applicable, to apply for each of those. You'll note that there has been some changes to the way we've laid this out. This gives light to our essentially rate review, where we've implemented those new residential rating bands, and also done some alignments with respect to our essentially residential uses that have multiple tenements on the assessment. And we've also included in there alignment for proposed renewable energy projects. So happy to take questions.
Any questions?
Just a brief one, and not against the recommendation, but do we know or anticipate when the valuations are going to occur? Or the
So
next round of valuations?
for this rating period, there is no change in valuation. So essentially the valuer general has not done a valuation that's applicable for this financial year, or for the rating that will occur. There is every likelihood that there may be one for the next budget and the next financial year, but it won't impact rates this year.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. No further questions. I have a mover for the officer's recommendation. Thank you, Councillor Goodluck, and seconded Councillor Davis. Put the motion. All in favour? It's carried. S1.8 is our waste charges. Back to you, Mark.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This is essentially breaks out all of our various types of waste and curbside services that we provide to the community, and also the various options that exist for residents who want to take up additional services or reduce services, and the options that come with each of that. So this recommendation provides the various charges for each of those options.
Any questions for Mark? No questions. Move for the officer's recommendation, please. Thank you, Councillor McClintock. Seconded Councillor Holzheimer. The motion. All in favour? Thank you. Carried. S1.9 is our water charges. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This gives your head of power for the rating of our water charges for each of our 4 water schemes across Lakawonga, Miriamvale, Baroran, and Agnes Water on 1770. This breaks it up dependent on both your water connection size and also your land use, and works out the differential charge to apply for each of those connections. This also sets up what is the consumption charge to apply for all use from 1 July this year.
Oh, okay. I was wondering where you got the 4th scheme from, the Lakawonga. There's 2. Is that right?
There's 4 columns: Lakawonga, Miriamvale, Baroran. Yeah,
Isn't like Miriamvale and Baroran in the same scheme?
it's the same charge that applies, but they're different
Okay.
schemes.
Very cool.
They're
All right.
charged the same.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Move for the officer's recommendation, please. Thank you, Councillor Muscat, and seconded Councillor Patrick. Put the motion. All in favour? That's carried. S1.10, which is our sewerage and wastewater charges.
Similarly to your water charges, your sewage and wastewater charges are there for each of our 3 schemes that we offer in this case, so Gladstone, Boyne-Tanham, Calliope, and Agnes Water on 1770, and this sets out your basis for the rating of each of those connections to those schemes.
Any questions? Move for the officer's recommendation. Thank you, Councillor Davis. Seconded Councillor Holzheimer. Put the motion. All in favour? The motion is carried. And we got our S1.11, which is special charges. Thank you, Mark.
Council over a number of years has provided specific support for a number of projects and has recovered those costs through what's called special charging arrangements. This essentially is your head of power that we're required to adopt each year to essentially recover the cost. So you'll note there that there's also there's the LNG sewerage one that we've talked about earlier, but also recovery for the plan and the upgrade of the Gladstone City Plaza forecourt.
Mm-hmm. Any questions? Mover, please. Thank you, Councillor Holzheimer. Seconded Councillor Goodluck. All in favour? That's carried. Second, S1.12, which is rates and charges, concessions and exemptions. Thanks.
Councillors, as you would be aware, we provide a number of concessions and rate exemptions to various community groups, land users and the like. So this provides the head of power for each of those different concession types. So yes, they're identified in your revenue statement, but this provides the individual head of power for the application of each of those concessions.
Happy to move, Member.
Thank you, Councillor Churchill, seconded by Councillor Wagner. Put the motion, all in favour? Motion's carried. S 1.13, which is fees and charges for the period 2024-25 financial year. Thank you, Mark.
Similarly to the revenue statement, this is your fees and charges, so this applies for each of those essentially, pay per use charges that council applies across the region. There's been a substantial review of those, and as you'll know, with all fees and charges, we've got the ability to amend that throughout the year, which is a little bit different to your rates where they can only be adopted at this meeting each year. So these fees and charges support your adopted budget.
Any questions for Mark? No questions. I have a mover for S 1.13, please. Thank you, Councillor Davis. Seconded, Councillor Patrick. Put the motion, all in favour. Motion is carried. And the final one on the agenda for our budget meeting is S 1.14, which is our operational plan and budget adoption for 2024-2025. Mark.
So this is your last item and essentially identifies the delivery of the operational plan for 24-25. We'll note that there's essentially 8 initiatives within that, and this is over and above the core services that we offer each and every day. So they range from essentially making our community facilities obviously more inclusive and accessible, working through the reduction of greenhouse gases, and also importantly, working through our planning scheme review and the like. So the operational plan is supported by your budget, but this essentially gives the direction of that. So this is your 4th operational plan in your current 5-year corporate plan.
Mm-hmm. Any questions for Mark, please? No? I'd like to move the budget and operational plan, and Councillor Goodluck is seconding by the look of that. Any further questions? No? I commend this budget to you all, and I'll put the motion all in favour. Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. And thank you, Mark. Thank you to your team. Any councillors like to comment any more on the budget before I close the budget meeting? No? Thank you for your attendance. We will close the budget meeting and we'll open for a general meeting at 10:30. Thank you for your attendance, and thank you, Mark, to you and your team again, and Lisa.